If anybody at G Kids is hearing this, god damn it, put the freaking opening and ending in these movies, man. You're killing me.
Welcome back to 2AM Otaku. I'm your host Mayu, a born and raised Japanese non-otaku, and
I'm Cisco, an American otaku.
In this podcast, we share our reviews of anime and manga through our distinct perspectives with commentary on Japanese culture, history, and language. Cisco.
Yeah.
You just watched the first new 3 episodes of DanDaDan in the theater today.
I sure did. I went to the Evil Eye movie.
Describe your thoughts on it with 3 syllables, like DanDaDan.
Hell yeah. There we go.
Perfect. We are all excited about the second core of the first season, which will be aired on Japanese TV starting from July 3rd, and then it will be streaming from then. So today we're going to talk all about new DanDaDan. Before we start, we would like to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ideas, questions, or even suggestions that we should talk about. Send us a message to the email in the description, or you can use Spotify and the YouTube comment section as well. Also, we talked about DanDaDan twice in the past. One is called DanDaDan, Otonoke is Fire. Which is all about the opening theme song, and we broke down the lyrics meanings and some Japanese lessons. Another one is called Did You Get It? DanDaDan Secret Reveals. In this episode, we explain the jokes and the gags you might have missed unless you grew up in Japan in the 80s or 90s, which were right spot on for me personally. So check those episodes out from the links in the description. All right, let's go. Tell us everything. Tell us, your experience at the theater. Where did you go watch DanDaDan? How was the crowd? Was it amazing?
Okay, so today is Juneteenth in America, which means it's a new national holiday. And I won't get into the history of Juneteenth because it's not what we're here to talk about. But it being a day off, I was able to go in the morning to go see this. I think it's also the last day that DanDaDan seems to be playing in most theaters in this area. So I caught it just before it left. And opposed to Witch Watch, did we see it on a Sunday?
I think it was on the weekend, yeah.
It was like a weekend, yeah. And it was right at the beginning, I think, of it. Anyway, its run. This had more people than the Witch Watch party that we went to. So I would say there were probably about maybe 6, 7, 8, something like that, people in the theater. It was a much bigger theater than the one where we saw Witch Watch. They had given it, I think, like an older theater. It didn't have like the nicer seats, but it had like lots of seats. But 10:30 is not a time when a lot of movies get a big audience anyway. And so 7 or 8 felt like a lot of people for the time of day that it was. It was like Witch Watch. It started with an interview with the directors, and season 2 is actually being co-directed by 2 guys. One is a Japanese director, and the other is a director who's definitely not from Japan. They don't say where he's from specifically, but it seems like he's from a Spanish-speaking country, would be my guess based on his name and like his accent. In the interview, the Japanese director only spoke Japanese, and everything was subtitled, but the other guy spoke English the whole time. So that was kind of nice for him to have like a direct line of communication to the American audience that was watching this in theaters. And I think the second director, the non-Japanese director, helped to direct the opening of season 1 and then got invited to help direct the entire season 2. So they have some back and forth both at the beginning and the end of this, like, quote unquote movie. But just like Witch Watch, there was no opening theme song and no ending theme song, which drove me nuts. Like, how can you say you're going to show us the new season and then not give us the theme songs? That's the most important part. So I was disappointed by that again, but the actual content of the first 3 episodes is pretty good. They are very action-packed. And although you get a certain amount of resolution of what's happening in the story by the end of the 3rd episode, it ends on another cliffhanger. So,
of course.
And I have you can't tell really exactly where the 3 episodes are split, but I have a feeling that they're split in moments in the action that's happening that are also cliffhangers. So probably a lot of cliffhangers. The story is mostly about a battle that unfolds at the house where Okarun and Gigi are, and develops Gigi's character in particular quite a lot, as well as introducing a bunch of new characters, some new villains essentially, and showing a lot of fighting. Like this is not like a slow or funny set of episodes. It's just fighting from not at the very beginning, I guess, but from the beginning to the end. The movie also made the interesting decision to put in a lot of backstory. So they showed like highlights of the entire first season, and then like almost all of at least the second half of the episode that came right before this season. So it felt like there was a lot of like catch up backstory. I guess maybe to prepare people who like didn't watch the original season of the show or something, or just to sort of like jog your memory and be like, this is kind of what happened in the first season. Okay. So that was the experience.
I just Googled about the co-director,
Mm-hmm.
Abel Gongora.
Yeah, that's right.
He was born in 1983, and
Mm-hmm.
then he's from Spain,
There you
Barcelona.
go. That would have actually been my guess. But yeah, he seems really cool. I liked that you have like a non-Japanese guy deeply involved in the production of an anime. Like this is the dream of, everybody from my generation, and this guy from Spain like made it happen. You go, Abel Gongora.
He's worked on Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. He's also worked on Star Wars Visions. Also, Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken.
Wow. That's cool.
That's so cool.
Man, good for him.
All right, so there are more people than when we went to Which Watch Party.
Yeah. Substantially
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I mean, Which Watch Party, like, it could have been just one person on that day, because, like, we were thinking, well, maybe go, maybe not go.
Yeah, we were 4/5 of the audience. This one, I mean, I think like the success of the first season of DanDaDan laid a better like foundation for getting people to actually come to this. In talking to at least one friend, they were interested in seeing it and just kind of missed it because it was only out for a week. And I don't know that I saw like a ton of ads for this outside of like anime related stuff. I didn't run into anyone I knew at this screening, which sometimes happens because of the smallness of the anime community still. But in a way, that's a good thing. It means it's getting bigger.
How was the other audience reaction while they were watching?
There were two people seated a little bit in front of me who talked a little bit at one part of the movie where it seemed like one person was like explaining some stuff or reacting to some stuff to another person, but it wasn't really like big audience reactions. Nobody was like, oh, like, there was not a lot of vocalization. People didn't really say a lot, but there was at least one part where someone was like, that's so cool or something. So, it was okay.
So it was subtitled, right?
Yeah, I picked one of the subtitled shows. I actually have a feeling that the dubbed shows might have a bigger audience, but that's just a hunch.
Wait, was there an option for dub?
Yeah. The dub showings tended to be at like more prime time for movies. Like when I was looking at the times at this particular theater, the dub was at like 6 p.m. and the subs were at like, I don't know, 2 or something. So it seems like maybe it depends on the location. Maybe it's kind of random, but it felt like when I looked at different theaters, the dub time, like show times were kind of the better show times.
Right.
And the sub show times were like more niche show times, either really late or kind of too early.
So during the interview, what was the most interesting thing you learned?
They talked a lot about the interplay between the two directors in designing the original opening. And like the Japanese director gave like a lot of credit to Abel Gongora about like introducing use of color in sort of more vibrant ways than the Japanese director was going to use it. There was like the vibe between them was like a little bit weird. It's not totally clear to me how much like Japanese the Spanish director speaks. Like he had a couple lines in Japanese, like, occasionally, but because he's speaking English the whole time, like that just like came up as sort of a question mark. Like, what are they saying and how are they saying? The Japanese director's like, yeah, like I like have strong opinions. So he like mostly like goes along with what I want. And so I was kind of like, I wonder whether he still feels like he's like establishing himself as a director. He can't really be like, I'm running the show. It felt like a little bit like a junior senior kind of like, partnership. So that was interesting, but also made me feel kind of bad for the Spanish director. You were like, oh, this like seems like you've like probably like had to bite your tongue like a lot. And the Japanese director said, when they decided the color palette for the town that they're in this arc, that they decided that in the first season, and so the second director didn't get to like say a lot about like some of the things that the Japanese director like assumed he wanted to change or something. Like I don't know, the vibe was like a little off. But they clearly have made something very good together. Also, Abel Gongora's name shows up in like a lot of the credits, so he clearly did some of the animation as well as the directing. But the one of the things that stood out actually wasn't from the interviews; it was from the credits, which I stayed to watch all of. This is a really international production, and I guess that's true for a lot of anime now. Like
Yeah.
there's often animators from Korea or from China or from Vietnam who are working on the project, but this one had like a number of names that like weren't just like non-Japanese but Asian, but like names that were like seemed like they were English or American or whatever, Australian, who knows. And the main guy being from Spain, like that's a huge deal. So I like that about the show. But I would say that this particular arc doesn't really have as many callbacks to other things in 80s Japanese culture the way that the first season did. Although there was an interesting part where Abel Gongora was talking about preparing to direct the show, saying he watched a lot of horror and thriller movies, not just Japanese ones, but like worldwide, to get like a sense of how to direct that type of story, and that he also watched a lot of movies that the other directors suggested to be like, this is kind of the vibe that we're going for with this particular town. I actually want to talk about the town. I don't know if we mentioned this in our last episode, but the hot springs town that they're in is very, very clearly modeled on a town we went to like last year. It's
Satsu?
Definitely Kusatsu. Yeah. Like some of the shots are like actual, like feel like almost like actual locations in that town. In particular, like the stairway that they're going up, like we walked down that stairway when we were in the town. And one of the first establishing shots like has like a couple of different things that really make it look like it's meant to be almost just exactly that place. And like there might be more hot springs towns in Japan that I haven't been to
Yeah.
that like also it could be, but there's like a huge volcano really close by. I mean, I guess it's all hot, but like whatever. It really felt like Kusatsu to me. And watching it a second time like strengthened that conviction for me that like, oh, I feel like I know this place.
Is the volcano one of like a key like part in the show?
Yeah, the volcano is important.
Okay. Is it like a really dangerous one, an active volcano?
It's a very active volcano.
Okay, we've been there.
That's what I'm saying.
If that's true, what was the name of the mountain?
In the show or that we went to?
No, in the one we went to.
Oh God, I don't remember. It's whatever massive volcano is next to Kusatsu. But yeah, there's like a whole thing of like somebody's like, parents are there like studying volcanoes at the university. It's like, okay, yeah, this really feels like it's that place.
You can go all the way to the top by car.
Yes.
And then as you drive down towards Kusatsu area, there are like a bunch of signs, don't stop. Like, don't stop driving. Just keep going because they're...
Roll your windows up or toxic gas will kill you. Yeah, exactly.
And then there are shelters in case like a volcano erupts, you can just hide in them and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if the magma comes out, you're like cooked either way, like very literally cooked. But if it's just raining fireballs, like the concrete tube might protect you.
Yeah, it was so casual, and so I was scared.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was an aspect of this particular set of episodes that I got a lot out of personally.
I see. All right, so you didn't get to watch opening and ending, which is a huge bummer again.
Yeah, if anybody involved in these, like, if anybody at G Kids is hearing this, God damn it, put the freaking opening and ending in these movies, man. You're killing me.
So there's not even songs?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I mean, it would be a bold choice. Like they played the credits, right? And there was like music over the credits, but I think the music was just like some of the background music from one of the episodes, which is like pretty techno. Like I don't remember the background music of the first season.
I remember,
but
yeah.
This one is like really like, it's like very techno inspired. And it's like, I mean, that's the right vibe for a battle, like to be like intense and like throbbing and bassy and stuff. But yeah, it feels like retro techno, like listening to it, I'm like, oh, this is like what techno sounded like in like the late 90s, like early 2000s, like I feel like I had a lot of friends who were like into it back then. And like, it reminds me of like that era of like electronic music. So whatever. It's good.
Okay, why don't we talk about opening and ending theme songs? Because I got some information and I actually got to listen through YouTube.
God damn it. Okay, go ahead.
So the opening theme song is called On the Way by Aina Ji Endo.
I'm interested. I want to know what it's going to be like.
Yeah, it sounds amazing already. I really like it. And in Japanese, it's called Kakume Dochu. So it's kind of right translation, I guess. Kakume Dochu.
Kakume, like revolution?
No Tochu. In the
Okay.
middle, on the way, I guess. Yeah.
On the way to revolution.
The revision, yeah.
Why'd they take that out of the English title?
I don't know. Don't
Okay.
ask me.
All right, whatever. Like if it was just Tochu and it was on the way, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure.
You know, like we just talked about Witch Watch's ending theme song, Maho
Right.
wa Spice, and it's translated that Maho wa Spice is like magic is spice, but it was translated find your magic.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Like
Sorry.
I don't know what, like it's so simplified. And
Maybe it's not a translation. Maybe they just gave it a different title in another language.
maybe, but like I like Japanese titles better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we talked about Aina Ji End on the episode of what is called
Moonrise.
Moonrise. Moonrise.
Wow, you really didn't like Moonrise that much.
It was like Star Wars.
Okay, got it.
Anyway, but yeah, it was not my like best anime of the year. But yeah, she did the ending theme song for Moonrise, and she was one of the main characters in the show. So that's how we
Right.
got to know her. And the song for DanDaDan sounds amazing, great.
Cool.
So everybody
I mean-
should listen to it.
All right, high bar to live up to, given that they're trying to replace Otonoke. But yeah, all right.
Yeah, Otonoke was great, awesome, but like this one is really good. Like it really fits to DanDaDan's like world and the music and self-prism and everything. Like it won't disappoint you.
Okay, cool.
And the ending theme song I listened, which is called Do Kashiteru by Words, and then
Words?
was like
Can you spell that? Or is it in like katakana?
capitalize W, lowercase URT, uppercase S.
Okay, weird.
Very weird. And I Googled, of course, like, because I wanted to know the reason why, is because when he was trying to give himself an artist name, he was so embarrassed he couldn't do it. So he closed his eyes and typed randomly, and that word came up.
Dude, okay.
Didn't you like research about what it means in Japanese?
Okay, all right. Well, all right.
Maybe it's like I don't know. It might be. It definitely draws your attention if you're an English speaker.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wait, what? What?
Words.
Why?
All right. Okay, okay.
It's a solo artist.
All right. Is it
Yeah.
a good song?
It sounds good.
All right. Then
Yeah.
I'll forgive the weird name.
Creepy Nuts is weird too.
Yeah, Creepy Nuts is not not what I would choose either. I feel like if you type randomly on a keyboard, though, you don't end up with something that sounds like a real word. It's always like AKSDFJ, you know? Like, anyway.
Well, for him, it was like destiny. Like, hey, like
Words.
words.
Okay. All right.
So let's do today's word of the day. Do you have any
All right.
suggestions?
I would say the good word of the day would be Jashi. So what does Jashi mean?
I think it's a made-up word.
Okay.
Yeah, but a ja means evil, and the she is
Okay.
eye or look.
Okay, so they use this for, it's represented in English in the subtitle version as Evil Eye. And the subtitle of this movie is DanDaDan Evil Eye. So that felt like an appropriate place to start. Do you also read snake as Ja sometimes?
Yeah, jano.
Okay, so there is both a lot of like snake stuff in this. So like Daija is like great
Right.
serpent is I think the translation, and then Jashi is a different character meaning evil eye. But they both have the ja sound, and so there's like a
Yeah, ja itself means evil. She
Okay.
means look.
right, and then in Daija it means snake, right?
Big snake, yeah.
Big snake, yeah. So there's a lot of ja going on in this particular one, and I thought those two words might be useful to kind of be like, oh, okay, like that's what they're talking about, or this is where this is coming out. And it's it's notable that Evil Eye is written Jashi, not Akushi, right? Or some other like way of reading evil. It's like a different character than Aku, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's anyway. I thought that might be like a useful one for understanding this particular set of episodes.
I wonder if they make any like jokes about ja, nantoka blah 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 jan, because like I remember in the first core, Okarun and Momo kept saying blah blah jan, in Japanese.
Right.
Sounds like something like round, right?
Yeah. This one doesn't really have jokes. It does have callbacks, and like Abel Gongora actually talked about watching a lot of kung fu movies for one particular part of this set of episodes.
Okay.
Where a character does a lot of kung fu, and so there's like that, and it feels like a callback to older movies from that particular genre, but it's not actually that. I mean, it's a little bit funny, but like a lot of it is like action. There's not a lot of like slow moments or like people just like talking or playing around. It's like action from the beginning of the first episode to the end of the last episode. And so this particular one doesn't have like a ton of jokes in it. There is a reference to a Tsuchinoko, and that part is a little bit funny, but like huge actually. Tsuchinoko might be another good thing to explain to like non-Japanese viewers, because I still don't really understand the idea of a Tsuchinoko other than it's like a weird fat snake.
It doesn't exist. It's like a maboroshi no ikimono.
Yeah, it's a cryptid. But like it's not like a cool cryptid. It's just like a slightly fatter snake, right? Is there anything special about the Tsuchinoko other than it's rare?
I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
there's like a story about it or legendary. Like nobody has seen it.
Sure. Isn't it supposed to be like connected to earthquakes or something? I feel like every rare thing in Japan is connected to earthquakes.
Don't know about
I feel like that was
that.
in the yokai book that I read. There's a reference to a Tsuchinoko, and I guess it's enough to just say it's a cryptid. And so that's why, Okarun would be potentially very interested in it.
Oh, that makes sense.
There's another rare living thing that's referred to in this that I'm also pretty sure is made up, called a Mongolian death worm, but
What?
we'll look that up later and maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Okay, sounds good. So, what is your expectation for the second core of first season of DanDaDan?
So one of the weird things about DanDaDan for me is I started reading the manga of DanDaDan in like chapter 150 or something. So weirdly, in the manga right now, some of the characters that get introduced in this arc have like just come back, like ostensibly kind of out of nowhere. So it's really weird that I'm like getting introduced to them in both the manga and the anime at the same time at really random parts of the story. I don't know where the story is going to go from here. I assume they will wrap up this arc after the first 3 episodes. It'll take more, I think, up to another 3 episodes to wrap this arc, actually, based on what the director said. So, I think there will be a couple more episodes that are really about the same story revolving around Gigi and Gigi's house. And then I'm curious to see where it goes from there. I wonder if we're going to get additional characters. There are a lot more sort of quote unquote main characters in the manga now. It really seems like it's almost like an ensemble cast at this point. So I think we should expect the introduction of like maybe one more main character or something. But yeah, I wonder whether it'll start being like more action all the time, or whether it'll go back and have some sort of like lighter episodes that are kind of jokes or a little bit more feelings like one-offs as opposed to like these longer arcs.
All right. Thank you so much. I can't wait to watch. We can watch from July and the other streaming services. So we'll definitely talk about it once it comes out for sure.
Nice. It was also cool to see an in-theater preview for the next Demon Slayer movie, Infinity Castle, which I guess is coming out in America in early September. So it got me pumped to see that as like a preview.
Do you want to watch it?
Hell yeah.
Okay, you can go.
You're not going to go? You're just like done with Demon Slayer?
I've read the whole thing.
I'm going to drag you to it.
And I was
For the
falling
sake of
asleep
our
the
podcast.
last season. So I don't know. You can report.
Yeah, very fun. I'm looking forward to that one. All right, whatever.
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you liked this week's episode, please give us good reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or like and leave a comment on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and follow 2M Otak and 3M Otak. It'll keep us making more fun episodes. Just so you know, if you happen to be a English and Japanese speaker, we have Japanese version of our podcast. We talk all about pretty much the same topic, all in Japanese. So if you prefer Japanese audio, go to that one. It's called 3M Otak. So check it out. Check that out. Check it out.
Check it out is right.
Check out.
Check it out is.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. See you next time for more 2M Otak.